Comments about a talk by Alan Watts titled Birth, Death, and Unborn. I'll preface my comments by saying Alan Watts is my favorite philosopher and no one else even comes close, not even Socrates or Plato. I don't know when this talk was recorded, but Alan kept growing as a philosopher as he got older. Near the end of his life, he was talking about the green room. That is to say, this physical life is a show, play, movie, and when the curtain comes down, we all meet back in the green room like actors. Alan died at an early age for a philosopher, and had he lived longer, I believe he would have developed this line of thinking further. He would have had to eventually think about how each of our roles was created, because a movie cannot exist without a script. So who wrote the script? In all of the talks that I've heard, I don't recall him talking about the argument as to whether this physical life was scripted, predetermined, or was a make-it-up-as-you-go-along type of life, free will. But if it was a movie play, then it had to have been scripted, and he is known for saying that there's nothing you can do to change your mortal self personality, which strongly implies your role has been scripted. So, who scripted your role? In this talk, like many others, he talks reverentially about Buddhism. He talks of Zen masters in a sort of hero-worshipping way, and this may be because he fell in love with Buddhism as a teenager. Now, do you understand, as a philosopher, that it's not good or practical to revere anyone, nor any doctrine, or religion, or school of thought? And so, for the average listener, it is extremely difficult to grasp how anyone can find fault in what is wildly popular and or ancient. People act like, how dare you criticize or find fault in what is popular and thought of as the right answers? Who are you? Where did you go to school? Who was your mentor? I've been a philosopher since the age of 6. That was the year 1970. If you want to know how this began for me, ask me. In this talk, Alan speaks of there being no spook who, when we die, returns to heaven. He says we simply die and then automatically are reborn into another physical life. He also speaks about the source of life being Brahman, and Brahman is defined as the unchanging, infinite, immanent, and transcendent reality which is the divine ground of all matter, energy, time, space, being, and everything beyond in this universe. And that's Google's definition, not Alan's. And this sounds very much like a unisoul, which sounds very much like a religion's definition of God. But this is flawed. When I had an MDMA-induced experience with cosmic consciousness, also called bliss, I eventually extrapolated from it the notion that the answers to our philosophical, spiritual, cosmological questions must fulfill the criteria of being the epitome of simplicity, fearlessness, and good news for all living creatures. God or Brahman does not meet such criteria. It is not the epitome of simplicity. What is simpler than that is that each of us can be defined as to how Brahman is defined. Each and every living creature is actually a spook who is perfect eternal conscious energy. The unigod or unisoul is not a nice concept. It does not feel good to believe each of us is not a unique, subjective personality. It does not feel nice to think each of us is just a figment of a unigod's imagination, and when we die, we as a personality will simply disappear, simply be reabsorbed into the unigod, and will not exist as a unique, eternal, spiritual personality. There's not enough room here to go into all of the details of my Newportian dream world theory, but suffice to say, this mortal life is a dream that each of us scripted before this physical world began. We scripted it in collusion and collaboration with each other with 100% free will free play whilst we were perfectly sane and sober. We cannot interfere with, nor interrupt, nor modify the dream once it begins. And yes, this particular dream was meant to be as confusing and mysterious and horrible as it can often be, every moment of it. Nothing about it, no matter how painful and quote-unquote life-changing, can change us spiritually. We do not gain or lose anything. We do not learn anything. We are here as a contrast to our never-changing spiritual home state of awareness of never-changing sanity and sobriety. We are on a vacation from bliss. I note that whenever I dream in my sleep, I completely forget that I am actually asleep in my bed. I've even had dreams where I tell other people that it is only a dream, and yet, when I wake up, I realize that when I said those words, I was not aware that I was actually at home in bed, fast asleep. I've had dreams where I've thought, I wish this was only a dream, but nope, I can tell this is really happening, this is real, only to wake up and realize that I had been dreaming. The most common dreams I have contain the following elements. Number 1, I'm in an area for authorized personnel only, and yet I am not an authorized person, and so I try my best to escape that area without being caught, and I usually succeed. Number 2, I am driving a car and falling asleep at the wheel, waking up at the wheel, and falling back asleep at the wheel. Number 3, I am in an area I don't recognize. I am lost and trying to find my way back home, and I do not succeed. Number 4, I virtually never have any happy dreams. I never feel welcomed or loved. I never feel at home. I never feel safe or fearless. I usually feel lost and alienated. I'm happy to discuss the contents of these comments with anyone. All you gotta do is step out of the shadows and start talking to me. Happy to do online video conversations. Ditto for audio podcasts. Philosopher Newport, 14th of March, 2023.